Hello everyone. So today's definition is to read a string and we will find out which is the longest word and what is the length of the longest word. Now the concept we will use in this definition is the arrays concept, because in arrays we have an option of splitting the string and creating an array of each word. So we are going to use that to our advantage. And apart from this, we'll be using the for loop to try and loop through each of the element of the array that we have created from the string A, and we will check if the length is greater than a specified length. So first thing we'll do is to create the array B by using the split method on A. Now, since we assume that the spaces are used to split the various words in the string, we will use that. Till now, I had been using empty string because I wanted to create an element consisting of one character each from the string. And now we are going to use the words. So apart from this, I will need to find out because I'm going to loop through each of the elements of the array. I'm not going to find the length of the string. Rather, I'm going to use in the length property on the array. So if I entered a string of 3 words, then n should be equal to 3, and that is what we'll use for our for loop also. Okay, so now I would also need to find out, I would need a variable to, for the for loop, I would need a variable um, for storing the position. So in the beginning, I'm assuming the first position, first element in the array is the longest element, and I am making an assumption that length of that first element is 0. So with that assumption, we'll go ahead. So we will use the for loop that we have used so far. A very simple definition. All you need to do is imagine, or if you can draw it, draw the array and then you have to work on it. Now what we are going to do is, because we are going to loop through each of the elements, so I will make sure that the length of each element, if it is greater than the original length. Now in the beginning I took the length as 0. So if I come across a word which is say 5 characters long, so then at that point I'm going to store the position of that I, that is the element, the word ID, the word index, and even the length of that element in these two variables. So we will go ahead with the ith element of the array if its length is greater than the length. Now, initially, first word which is there in the array B, if its length is greater than 0, then what we will do is we will store the length of B of I in here. So we will make an assumption that this is the longest length. Now when I plus plus takes place, we'll go to the second word, and at that point second word's length will be compared to the already existing length now, the first word's length. So if it is greater, then that length will be stored here. Otherwise it will jump to the next word. So that is the logic we will apply. And not just this, I'm going to even store the position, that is at which element did I receive this, the position would be in I, obviously that is going to indicate which index, right? So this is all we have to do, and finally I can just go ahead and print some output which says the, let us say the longest word is, and I'm interested in printing the word. Now I know the position is in the position of the longest word is there in POS, so I will use the b.pos, the bpos. So POS is the index position, so the index is used for the array, and along with this I would even want to print the length of the string with the length, let us say, and where is the length stored? It is stored in len. Okay, so let's see this in action. Hopefully this should work. This is India, and okay. So we have made a mistake, and the mistake probably is in one of the brackets or the conditions. Okay, so this looks fine. This also looks fine. Okay, this is perfect. Oh, I made a mistake with the double quotation here. I forgot to write it. So now this should work. Okay, the longest word is India with the length 5. No, the problem would come in if you are putting all spaces. So in this situation, it would say the longest word is, we can't make out space with the length 0. Obviously, we don't want to include and display this message if the length is 0. So in addition to this whole thing, I'm going to add in one more thing, and that is BFI, the word at the ith position, should not be equal to a space character, right? And so if we do this, then those words would be excluded, but I'm still not done, because it is still going to come out with this printing, and I want to make sure that this does not take place. So this is to be printed only if we found something. So here also I'll put in a condition: if the length is not equal to 0, then only you go ahead and print this. So this will work just fine. You can always, okay, so it says the longest word is this. It is still working. So what if I put in all spaces? So with multiple spaces, it doesn't print anything. But if I added a character in between, you can see I've added so many spaces. It says the longest word is A with the length 1. So I'm excluding the, okay, I'm excluding the spaces when I'm counting the words. So it says yes with the length 2. So my code seems to be working fine. You may go ahead and try this out. Take a dry run on a paper, and you'll be able to get more insight into what logic has been applied here. See you in the next video with a new definition then.